Hey fellas. Arch, what are you doing? You're in your pajamas again. Yeah, I know. Right. Once again, I'm in my pajamas because I work I think I just worked like 3 weeks straight without a day off. It's Monday. I got a busy week ahead and I'm shot. And this is part 3 coming up of the Green Rider, right? The Green Nightmare is what it is, really. It's like, we're going to call it the Green Horror or the Green Nightmare. Maybe you should just call it the Green Lemon. So yeah, we're back at it. Part 3, we're gonna finish up the head. So in part 2, we got through, like the valve lapping and seat rework and replacement, the honing, and so part 3, we're gonna put the head on. We'll talk about a little bit, show you guys a bit about torquing the head down. I think it's like 200 inch-pounds. I don't know if I mentioned it in the video. So I'm gonna say it up here, right up front in the intro. And we're going to try to do a test on it and at least kind of rough all that out. There's still a lot more to do. There's a bunch more parts coming up because we're going to take this thing, really from just the backyard sitting. I don't know how long this thing sat, guys. I've had it for years, okay? And it sat before that and was thrown out. I think Mikey picked it up, and I remember he found it on his lunch break or something, so he shoved it in his pickup truck, and he hit me up, and this was like years ago. He's like, I intercepted the guy. They're going to throw it out. Let's get started on it. We'll go through the rest of this and try to get this thing running and see how it runs, and then we can go from there, right? I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, fellas, so I've gone around and I've run my tap in with lubricant. We want to make sure that these threads are sweet. And I've talked about this many times. We make sure the bolts are clean and run them on your wire wheel, however you got to clean them up. And as I've said, I'm going to blow these out in a minute. Any junk on the threads, on the bolts, and you will not get an accurate torque reading. So that's why I often say, don't bother. I've seen guys that they try to retorque a head bolt or a head to an engine that's been running for a really long time. And they think, well, don't forget, retorque the heads because often the bolts get loose, usually around the exhaust valve. And so you think, well, I'm going to retorque it. No, don't do that because you need lubricant on the bolts, you need lubricant on the threads, you need lubricant on the shafts. Any oxidation or junk is going to change the torque reading, and you have no idea how that's influencing your torque reading as you're retightening them. So it doesn't pay to put a torque wrench on an older engine that's just been sitting and running and maybe a couple of bolts loosened up. Just tighten the bolts. Just tighten the ones that have gotten loose. Check for tight, as I often say. But since we're putting a head gasket on and we've got everything as clean as well we can get it, right? We want to make sure that the threads are lubricated and clean and everything is good to go, and we'll put that head on, snug it all up, and then we'll torque it. Because now we can. This is when you do it. All right, fellas, lubed up in here. I got the bolts all clean and lubricated with it's just a thicker weight. I use it for like assembly lube and just a good oil. Everything is lubed in there. Just a little bit of oil, like it's a residue I leave. And if you want, you could put a little bit of an oil residue on this just to keep it from oxidizing while we assemble it. And it'll allow the gasket to sort of crush in a little bit. If you want, you can actually just wipe it off. What you want to do is just seal. You don't want excess. Now, I do see an issue here. All right, there's actually a blemish here and a blemish there. And what we might want to do, I don't know what that's from. It almost looks like a hammer hit it. It's close to the sealing area. And we might want to clean that up. It's close. So what we can do is take this over to, I got that steel plate, and just brush it onto the steel plate, kind of like poor man's millet. And let's just see what that does, and we'll take another look at it. I know you can't really see it, but there's these weird depressions. There's some kind of weird tool mark or something. And it's kind of, what we're talking about here is on this style gasket, this is what's known as the fire ring. The way they crimp that, it's a steel piece. And that's really where the fire is. That's why they call it a fire ring. Yeah, let's take a look at this head a little bit more. Let's go. Now what I really want is I want the bigger sander paper. But we don't have that, so we're going to have to make do. So this is like 80 grit this is, yeah, maybe it's like 80 grit. I forget what it is. This is a little bit finer, maybe I know this is like 240, so this might be even finer. All right, let's just make a couple of passes. And you can see it's dirty, so it's actually cleaning it up a little. Not bad. Oh, see, now you can see it. It's actually quite flat, fellas. But, can you see these guys here, these little marks here? It's actually really flat. This, like I said, there's not a lot of hours. Let me get the gasket. So I'm just kind of pointing out what to look out for. And I'll bring the other camera in too. It looks like it's missing that area here. Let's just wipe it off. And then let's get a marker. And just for a guide. So this is the area. Well, it just misses it. Hopefully you can see that. Let me turn off this light. It can be difficult sometimes getting the lighting right? Because I want you to see. So our mark is here and here. That's this weird tooling mark or something. It's kind of deep, but I think we're just... So we're like over here. We're real close. I'm going to work it just a little bit longer, and then we'll finish it up on the smooth. So I ran on this one. We just about make it. I was looking at the marks. So we're real flat. This thing's really good. But I don't want to go so far as to take those marks out. They're a little deeper than I'd like to. I wouldn't be that comfortable with spending... If the sanding disc area was wider, right, the way it should be, I would probably sand that out. But it's not, so we run the risk of literally putting a warp into the head. What we're doing is just kind of correcting the surface a little bit and getting it mint for, yeah, that... It looks good. I'm going to have to go with it. We're going to do a compression test in a few minutes. So let me clean this off, blow it out, just a little bit of oil on it again, and we'll assemble. Okay, so I'm glad I know about that, and that's kind of the idea of doing all of this, is to be cognizant, right, aware. So this one only goes in one direction, and also it's kind of, like you can kind of feel the way it's stamped too. It wants to go in this direction. I'm looking forward to doing a compression test. All right, we're all ready to go. So everything's lubricated, just a very light bit of oil on here. We just got to get it started. And then we'll slip it in. Now probably going to be a little tight feeling because the bolts holes of the gasket are not like 100%. So it's not like we could kind of ream them out, but they've never had bolts in them. All these bolts seem to be the same. They just have those thick washers on them. Let's just get everything started. All right, we just got to fit that gasket. There it goes. It wants to go. There we go. There we go. So make sure that gasket's aligned well. I've had this tool forever. All right, fellas, I'm going to go and just run these in. Like I said, you might fight your new gasket a little bit. The threads will find their way through. Just be careful. Don't use any power tools because the holes in the gasket aren't quite like ready for bolts yet. They're a little crimped, like over crimped. So just take your time and we'll snug everything up. No power tools. All right, we'll be back in a bit. All right, snug them all up, and let's torque them. Let's bring them up to about 200 inch-pounds. So I'm just going to pick a spot. This is more inbound than, and this one too. So let's try here. I like to use a short, deep socket. We don't want a lot of flimsy extensions on. It's only 3/8 drive. It's inch-pound, so we don't want a lot of that flimsy extensions and all that. It's going to confuse the torque reading. So let's just pull this one in and see. I'm just going to go around and just kind of check them out. All right, I got a little bit longer lever now. And it's just a guess right here. I'm feeling it. Well, we're going to need more. So now we're going to start going in a torque sequence. I'm going to go from here to here. Actually, here, 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 here. All right, so now we'll go here. Just a good cross pattern. Yeah, I can feel it. I'm going to do it again. Yeah, she's getting close. I can feel it. From there to there. Actually, we should have went here. She's getting real close. It takes a little bit of work. Now, like I said, you could set the torque wrench back. I'm used to this. I know what the feeling is. Now, if I want to change the torque pattern, I can. But we're just going to stay with it. There it is. There it is. And we're going to go here. There it is. And here. All the way over here. And here. Any good, pattern that is operating across, okay, walking around the head. That's it. It's 200 inch-pounds. Now let me just start. Good. Let's check. Good. Go all the way around just to check, and then we can do a compression test. So I'll set you guys up. Yeah, what I'm doing is I cheat because I've been doing it for so long. All right, good. We're beautiful. All right, put my tools away. We'll be back in a minute. Compression test. All right, just a quick test. Here we go. Quick test coming up. Can I see it? Well, you guys are going to see it before I see it. All right, let me see if I can see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. Not bad, right? Well, we get 75 pounds. That's not bad, right? Especially considering that we need some kind of ACR working on here. Let me run it again. And the valving is screwed up in here as usual because of all the chemicals I use. Yeah, we're close to 75. That's enough to light it off, and it'll probably wake up more. So you're seeing it, the air come out because, like I said, the valving is messed up. It's not leaking through the valves. I doubt it. I doubt it. There are ways to test that, but this is enough. Let's keep working. All right, I'm gonna light this thing up soon. Well, I don't want to say light up. Maybe it's not a good idea. Okay, clamps on the fuel line. This we gotta lubricate and do our thing, which we'll do that later. We're gonna do the flywheel next. We're gonna do the magneto and a plug. Okay, we're just gonna wire wheel just to get everything nice and clean, get the contacts good, and clean it off. And then we wanna clean the tops of the standoffs, and we're just gonna clean up that magnet, get everything nice, and put it back to 10 thousandths. Okay, Scotch-Brite up here. And then we'll have to use like a 60 grit on this guy. Nice and clean. Also, the contact here. I checked in there, it looks okay. We'll put a little bit of liquid in that. We'll mount this down, put a little bit of oil on the threads. Okay, and then we'll snug it up a little bit, and then we'll bring the magnet over, drop my 10 thousandths in there. You can go to 12 thousandths if you want. And then I'll spray it with a little bit of chain wax just to keep it nice, because there's no break or anything to keep it clean. Okay, we'll loosen it up. Just straddle in the magnet, let it come in. All right, just kind of hold it there. Let's give it a good tightening. That's good. All right, and we just tighten it a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to show you a little bit. So a little bit of contact cleaner. I don't think you can see it. Hold on. A little bit of contact cleaner, a little bit of acid on everything. I want to do a little bit more, but that's good for now. So let's just test this. So this is the kill wire. All right. All right. Let's. It's still a little dirty. Hold on. Let me put a little acid on that, just for now. We need to get these things diagnosed and cleaned up. Really, acid. This is my Alumabrite acid. And this is the stuff that really works. All right. So where was I? All right. I need a little jumper. But we're gonna take a jumper, and so I'm gonna put it on the other side of this terminal here for my buzz meter, and then on this. All right, now the switch is off, so this is the kill. All right, that's on, so it lifts the contact. And then the other thing we need is I could put it in voltage. Oh, I want to see what's going to come over here. This is the signal wire to the solenoid, the solunoid. So I should get 12 volts to that. Nope. No, we don't have this contact. Oh, I know why I'm not getting it. I believe there's a fuse missing here somewhere. And then, so let me go find that and let me see. Okay, so there's a 15 amp fuse over here. All right. And I think it's good. Let's just test it, see if we got voltage. Yep, I got 12 volts. So, but this is no good. This guy here. I think it's just stuck. But we'll see in a second. All right, you can see nothing. All right, so that's no good. Let's just leave that for now. We don't need that. Let me move everything off. I'm going to put some fuel into the fuel tube. And this is our kill. So right now it's in kill mode. Clear the table. And I got to wire this guy here. Like I said, we'll come back tomorrow because it's getting late and it's getting cold out. So I want to run all of this a little bit and then let it air out. So that comes over to here, which is an isolated grounding point, right, for the kill and what have you. And we just need to put a little bit of fuel in. We'll rig that up. And so I'll have to start it over here just by jumping everything out. We'll see what happens. The throttle I kind of got to work a little bit, which is, you're not going to see it, but I managed to get it. This whole pocket's got to be vacuumed out. So this is like idle, and right about there is like off idle. So that's where we're going to put it to start it. Just leave it like that, and we'll see what happens. I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, I'm going to hide in the corner in case something goes wrong. I put some fuel in the fuel hose, but I really should move that fuel hose. I don't think it's not high enough. But let's just test it. We'll take it with some fuel and throw it in a carburetor, and then I'll turn it on. And I have the rear up in the air a little bit just in case the belt is trying to turn something. I don't know. Let's turn it on. And I'm going to run. Ready? Let's say. Uh-oh. Well, I think we may have to move that fuel line because I don't think it's getting any fuel. Hold on. It should have spark. All right, I moved the fuel hose and it seems like it took more fuel. So what we're going to do, and I checked for spark. We have spark, although we may have flooded or done something to the spark plug in the engine, but a little bit of that, and let's see if she fires or kicks back or does something, and then I'm running out of here, right? All right, so I don't know if we're getting enough fuel in there. Sounded fine. But we may have to work a little bit harder at this. to get fuel in this thing and get it really fired. Looks like it's full of fuel. You know, could still have a bit of junk in that carburetor. Let's dump a little fuel in here and see if she takes it. Just down the throat of the carburetor. Sounded good. I'm sure I'm recording here. Now, she's not sucking fuel. That's got me a bit concerned. It should pull some fuel. She hasn't run in a long time. Well, that might have done something. If I can come over here and hit it with this stuff and see if I can just get it to suck. But I can't get there in time. Oh, didn't get there in time. Pour some fuel down in the throat of that carburetor. I don't see it leaking fuel or anything. That doesn't seem to be an issue. You know? Well, it's not hard to get the carb off. I'll put a little choke on? Yeah. Let's put a little choke on it. Because maybe it's just in need of that. Oh, crap. Okay, that's part of it. All right, so let's leave it on choke some more and see. You know, she hasn't run in so long, so that's why I want to do it now, because the smoke is just billowing out. It's trying, fellas. Let me open up the other door. Hold on. Yeah, that's a lot of smoke. It's gonna smoke. Let's get a little more fuel in here. Looks like it took some fuel. Yeah, it took fuel. I guess it pulled it into the bowl finally. Wow. Where's all this fuel going? Is it peeing out all over the place? I'm on fire, so. All right, let's try again. So choke on. We're gonna leave that choke on. Alright, we're getting a little bit of backfiring. Not sure what that's coming from. We need to get heat into the motor, so we need to really, even if it's running like crap, it seems to be sucking fuel in. There we go. That's as much fuel as I want to put in it. If we get a little heat into the motor, it would be good. Okay, and I think the other thing too is that we need an actual fuel tank on this thing. All right, let me let it air out in a minute. All right, check the oil, and I got plenty of oil of it. It's already starting to turn rancid, but that's okay, right? And the oil's not hot yet, so we got some heat on the motor, but we don't have heat in the motor. I turn the RPMs up a little bit. I put some fuel in it. Let's give it a spritz. All right, chokes on a little bit. That ran on its own, fellas. All right, I'm gonna do it one more time. I'll put some more fuel in it. We'll let it run one more time. Get that heat in a little bit more. She's starting to come in. We need to get a fuel tank on it and have proper supply. It's not high enough, so it's not applying enough fuel to the system. Yeah, it didn't run as long. All right, let's shut it off. And I want to check the plug when it cools down a little bit. It's hot. So we'll check the plug real quick and see what it looks like as soon as she cools down a little bit. I'll be back in a minute. All right, it doesn't look bad. It's a little wet. And one side's got a little bit of black on it because remember, I'm choking it. So it's not burning. We obviously we don't have it burning correctly, but not to worry about that. That it is a little wet though. She's still hot. All right, we'll put that in tomorrow. I do have a little bit. I gapped it about 30 thousandths. I got a little bit of no seas on it. We'll let all this, kind of like cool off, and tomorrow we'll come back and we'll fool around with it some more. I think we can move ahead. What we need is a fuel supply, so I got to wash out the tank, get the tank properly cleaned, and we need to put the rest of the stuff on and get the solenoid replaced and do the rest of it, and then I think we'll be okay. All right, so part 4 is coming up, and that's when we're going to sort out some of the issues. We got to really kind of test this thing out and get to know it a little bit better, right? Because it hasn't run and it's been jammed. I had to drag it up on the table. Nothing really worked. Everything jammed, just total question, big question mark. So we're going to go through, we're going to see what's going on with the carburetor. I got some ideas for that. I also have some ideas of maybe why the motor, it runs like okay, but it's not 100%. But we got to get out in the yard and we got to fix a couple other things first. It's got the flat tires and some other stuff's going on with it. And we'll drag it outside and we're going to give her a yard test, right? So stay tuned for that in the next episode. And don't forget to check out the first one if you haven't seen it, and the second one if you haven't seen that. And hopefully you saw this one. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one.